to the first episode of Appalachia at Ya. My name is Ronnie Cowan, and we're here today on episode 1 of the Appalachia at Ya podcast, where we'll be talking about hobby farming, natural resources, everything that Extension does, and the culture here in Southern Appalachia. If you haven't done so, check out our introductory video. It gives you a little preview of what the show is about, what we're doing. So we have a lot of fun here. I enjoy talking about my passion, which is natural resources and living in this great area of East Tennessee. So make sure you like us on our YouTube channel. Go to Appalachia at Ya. Subscribe to the channel, Appalachia at Ya. Also, this will be on our Facebook page, UTTSU Extension Blount County, where you can watch our videos. So we have an interesting show today. We're going to be talking from anywhere from cucumbers to fishing reports to what is milk and dairy farm finance, and ended up going downtown to check out what's in this East Tennessee mountain land. So let's settle on in, come in, have a seat in our cerebral rocking chair. All right. Thank you for joining today. I wanted to start out with just some farm updates for those that are interested in hobby farming and things. We've got a special guest coming today, Mr. David Bilderback. He will be talking to us about what he does as an extension specialist and farm manage, and share some of his passion. But first, let's talk about a little bit about what's going on in your backyard and hobby farming. So if you like your vegetables and you're doing some plantings, this section is for you. So I'm going to give you a couple tasks for July. Well, we're not quite out of July just yet. So if you have some blueberries and blackberries at your house, these are ornamental blackberries. Make sure you pick those frequently. You want to pick frequently for the best quality and to reduce pest control. You want to continue cover sprays for fruit trees. Fruit trees are difficult. We've seen many cases coming in here lately with a lot of different mildews and fire blight. Went on a farm visit recently, or a home visit, that had some fire blight and some pears. Make sure that you're spraying for your fruit trees. Pick tomatoes, beans, corns, and other warm season crop. Those are coming in. Check out your local markets for those fresh, homegrown green beans. That's certainly the only way that I could eat them. Love canning those green beans. If you don't know how to can green beans, or if you need help, reach out to your county extension office. Our family consumer science agents will be happy to help you in canning and food preservation. Provide irrigation as needed to try to minimize leaf wetness and overhead watering. So we see a lot of damage from watering. When you're watering your plants, we were kind of dry, haven't been the issue lately in the Tennessee Valley, but we were dry there at the start of the season. Make sure you're watering your plants at the base. You don't want to water overhead. The reason being, that's a great way to start issues with disease and things like that. So make sure that you're minimizing leaf wetness and overhead heating. If you're not, that is a great breathing ground for pests and insects and diseases. You can manage vegetable nutrition through proper side dressing and in-season fertilized applications. We at UT Extension has a great publication of getting the most out of your home vegetable garden. And we recommend a soil test. You know, it's a great time right now to be testing for, some cool season plots, some things that you're going to be growing in the fall. But always know what your macronutrients is. That's nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. That's what your plants need to thrive and grow. That would be a great plan. Manage weeds. We have plant management practices, another publication. You want to scout frequently for insects and disease issues. Spray, use control methods, cultural methods as appropriate. Again, contact your county extension office if you need any of these publications. We could pull some of those up if you'd like, but make sure that you're checking it. So right now, I love Halloween. A lot of people thinking, why in the world are you talking about Halloween in July? Well, right now, pumpkins should be seeded according to maturity. A 100-day pumpkin seeded on July 1 would be estimated to mature on October the 11th. So if you like me and like the big orange, or if you like the pumpkins and fall's your time of year, be planting those pumpkins. They're coming soon. So you got to get those in the ground. So remember, we're past July 1. If you plant it July 1, it's going to mature October the 11th. So make sure you get those pumpkins out. And now let's transition to talking about cucumbers. Cucumbers on my mind because a coworker of mine brought me some fresh grown cucumbers. I love those good cukes. From slicing to pickling to snacking, there's a cucumber for every garden in need. They're warm season members of the cucurbit family. Can be transplanted but are often direct seeded after danger of frost. Under good conditions, some can bear fruit around 40 days. So remember that on your cucumbers. Pumpkin 100 days, cucumber much less at 40 days. While others require 50 to 60, many new cucumber varieties also have resistance to common leaf and soil-borne diseases and viruses. Boy, that's really important. We've been getting calls all month long regarding mildew and other things. We've seen it a lot this year, the humidity and the wetness. Here are a few cultivars to consider. You can still plant these in July. Compact plants are the patio snacker, saladmore, and fanfare. So if you don't have a lot of space, you can plant these. That's probably how it had its name, patio. You can plant them in small places. Pickling, cool customer, bush pickle, and county fair. I tell you, if anyone has a good way to share a recipe for pickling cucumbers, I sure would love to have it. I have never been good at pickling cucumbers. I can get the flavor. I love pickling. I love brine, but never can get quite that snap that I'm looking for. So if you know of a great way to do that, comment on YouTube, comment on our Facebook channel, help us out. Try to find us a way to help me pickle some cucumbers. Garden slicer, that's Market 76, DMR 401, General Lee Dasher 2, Straight 8, and Olympian. My favorite is the thin skinless, and our thin skin and seedless. I like crunching them right out of the garden, washing them, just eat them as a snack. You're looking for green light Diva varieties. And then they have long garden cucumbers, Southern Delight, Tasty Green. But keep in mind that seedless cucumbers don't require pollination and often don't have male flowers. They can be pollinated and might not be seedless if grown with other varieties that have male flowers. Good to know. So if you need the seedless varieties, don't plant them with varieties that are seedless too much. So make sure you check those out. If you'd like to see these lists of cucumbers, you can check us out on UT Extension Publications, Tennessee Home Fruit Vegetable Garden. I'm in the calendar of July. Getting started on proper harvesting. So let's talk about warm season vegetables, which we're in. The snap beans, you want to harvest them while pods snap easily, as opposed to being tough and flexible with the seeds still green. Like I said, I love green beans. My favorite way to have them is canned. Corn, sweet. If you're looking at sweet corn, you want those kernels should be filled out nearly to the end of the ear and milky if crushed. So you want the silk dried down. Great time to harvest. Cucumber, when seeds are small, flesh is still firm and color is green. You don't want cucumbers that look like big old zucchini plants full of seeds. I certainly don't. Eggplants, when fruit is still shiny and the color has not diluted. Edible from a third grown until full grown. Muskmelon. Anybody know what a muskmelon is? I grew up hearing that terminology. A lot of folks in my circles have not heard muskmelon. Muskmelon would be like a cantaloupe. When melon can be lifted and the vine pulls away from the fruit with little resistance. Great way to pick a muskmelon or a cantaloupe. Okra, when pods are 2.5 to 3 inches long and tender. Pepper, when full size and firm green is immature and fruit will color to red, yellow, orange, and contain more sugars when ripe. So one of my favorite hobbies is I used to help a friend of mine in Extension out in West Tennessee. We used to grow Trinidad Moruga peppers and make our own hot sauce, and boy, those can carry the heat. Some of these peppers are awesome sources of vitamin C. So a good pepper regimen is great. Love growing those peppers. Sweet potatoes, after reaching desired size, but before moist and cool fall soil conditions reduce quality and storage shelf. Squash, skin is still tender and glossy, and the large end is 1 to 2 inches around diameter. Boy, those squashes take up quite a bit. You got to watch out for those squash borer insects as well. Winter squash, when rind is hardened, is not easily scratched. And tomato, when uniformly colored, but still somewhat firm. And watermelon, I'm often called upon to pick out the watermelon for family functions. I love picking out watermelon, thumping good. Watermelon, when tendrils next to the fruit die back, that's that little pigtail thing at one end of the watermelon. When tendrils next to the fruit die back and the rind on the other side of the fruit turns from white to creamy yellow. Don't really have to flick them or thump them. You can look at that tendril next to the fruit die back, and I like looking at the color, that nice creamy color to the bottom where the fruit was set. So a lot of the success on the garden is planned. So here at the county extension office, we have gardening plans, and we certainly want you to think ahead. So make sure you have enough seed for fall and cool season crops. And long season crops may actually need to be planted soon. So make sure that you're considering what you're going to grow. Brussels sprouts, some of that cool season like pumpkin. And then always look up some new recipes to try with your summer's harvest. So again, it's harvesting season for much of these. So make sure you get out there and you're harvesting correctly to those guidelines. All right, another thing I'd like to update folks on is we are in July, and that is beef month. So according to the Tennessee Cattlemen's Association, it is beef month. So July, have some beef, support our beef farmers. Did you know that we have 37,000 beef producers all across this great state of Tennessee? So, and most of them are cow-calf operations. That means we have mama cows that are having these calves, and that we are raising using good stewardship and farming practices to raise and go into our beef chain. So celebrate July as beef month. All right, so we're going to go to our guests. We have a special guest today. We have someone coming to see us, and I'll go ahead and get right in it before we talk about some more topics. But we have a specialist joining us today. All right, we have a special guest today on the Appalachia at You podcast, coming to you as episode 1. Today we have David Bilderback. He is a specialist for farm management. How you doing today, David?
I'm doing well, Ronnie. How you doing?
Doing just fine. I just want to let you take a seat in our cerebral rocking chair and give us a little explanation of what you do for the University of Tennessee.
So I do farm financial management here, mainly in East Tennessee. I cover from Knoxville to Chattanooga is what I like to tell people, and basically focus in on doing one-on-one farm consultations with producers in different areas of agriculture, and just give them sort of an unbiased opinion of how their financials look, how they sit today, especially if they're wanting to make changes to their operation or look at new things, sort of evaluate some of those changes before they make the investment.
Mm-hmm. Great. So with our influx of population moving into southern Appalachia, I'm sure that a lot of these extension agents get folks that come in that have a romantic view of agriculture. They'll buy 25, 50 acres, and they want to raise cattle or raise lambs and live off the land. So can you help those folks kind of understand of what it takes to get started in a farming operation like that?
Yes, we actually have a great program that I would highly recommend. It's called UT Farming Fundamentals. It is an online self-paced program, and I recommend people take it a lot of times before even having the extension agent come out, because I've been on a lot of these calls, as you probably have over the years, Ronnie, and you get there and you answer a lot of very similar questions. And what UT Farming Fundamentals has been set up to do is to sort of answer those questions, give a lot of baseline information to the landowners, producers, beginning farmers, to help create when you go on those visits, it helps create a better atmosphere of knowledge, and it saves a lot of times, and they actually get to ask more specific questions that's more beneficial to them once you come. So it's a great program. It also helps you out with the TAEP program for 50% cost share on the beginning farmer grant.
Oh, yeah.
Or it's not a grant, it's a cost share program.
Yeah,
Sorry, grant's the wrong word.
Yeah, that's great, because what I find is there's no cookie cutter program out there for everybody.
No.
There's so much diversity that we could do here in this region, this East Tennessee landscape. So reaching out to someone like David or your county extension agent could really help you find a personalized plan for you to provide you some solutions. So that's a great thing. And this TAEP is really significant to the state of Tennessee. Not every state has a cost share program like that. So Tennessee as a state really helps out their farmers and people wishing to get into agriculture, I believe.
Yeah, and I tell people, if you don't know what the program is, use one of our best friends, Google, and just do TAEP and read in about the program, see how it can help your farm. It's a wonderful program. There's a lot of different things there that can really, really help you maintain your operation.
Yeah, and there was a misconception a couple years ago that they'll just give you a hay shed. A lot of people talk about hay sheds. They'll help cost share hay sheds and for hay production, but there's so much more to that, I think, now. There's producer diversification still, like for beekeepers and other things. So that's
poultry,
a great poultry.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then but dairy solutions, there's a lot of different ones. And the genetics, all that stuff, the cattle genetics, all that's still there as well.
Yeah, dairy's an interesting thing. I where I was from, I didn't have to worry about dairies, but there's still some around, I think, here in East Tennessee, ain't there? A couple, maybe?
Yeah, about probably 65% of the production, 70% of the production in the state is here in East Tennessee.
Wow.
Still. So we have around about 500 million pounds is what milk still produced in Tennessee. There's 140, right at 140 dairies left in the state. And I do a lot of financial benchmarking with those dairies. That's the more specific clientele. My background growing up is dairy, so it is one of my passions.
Yeah, great. I know it's hard work, and they're kind of, seems like they're going away. I know in my part of Florida that I was at for a couple of years, we did not have any dairies, but that's a great thing to hold on to. That 65%, that's a pretty good chunk.
Yeah,
operation.
And it's a handful of operations, and a lot of times it has a lot of the majority as everything else. Some of these farms, these family farms, are having to get larger to be competitive with the national market and the changing markets. We've seen that over the years. When I first started with Extension, there was 800, I think.
Wow.
Right at 800. When there used to be 14 dairies on my road growing up back in the day. It has changed dramatically. And I say that we have some wonderful dairy farm families, and they are some of the best farmers in the country, in my opinion, with the challenges that they've faced and how successful they've been.
Yeah, this is a topic for another day, but it seems like, with dairy, there's all kinds of alternatives now. You have these soy milks and things, and it's an evolving market, and there's quite a few regulations on that dairy market, I think. So,
yeah, I don't know if I would necessarily say soy milk, but soy products.
Soy product, yeah, soy product.
There's always a discussion on what milk is and what the definition of milk is. So, but there is more that is sort of competition in the marketplace. Those alternative forms are out there.
Yeah, right. So when I think of farm management, I think of budgets. Do you still do a lot of those budgets for farmers that have to come in? They've been established, but maybe they wish to, better financially manage their property. They still have those budgets.
We definitely do. I always say the best days of my job is when I'm out meeting with a producer. That's what I want to do. Is spend one-on-one time. And it's free it's not free financial advice. The free is a bad word because everybody pays their taxes. But it's a service that does not cost. We do not charge for our service.
They're not going to have to cut you a check when you go on their farm.
No. And what I like to tell people is, I'm not selling anything. Even if no matter what you're doing, you're getting a product sold to you. And I'm not selling a product. My goal is to keep your farm as successful as possible and as strong financially as it can be. So that's my approach.
Yeah, and like with any extension programming from Land Grant University, it's going to be research based, and that's what keeps us relevant, I believe.
Yes,
it's a great thing. We're not trying to sell anything, like David said. So if you need help with finances on your management, or if you're an aspiring farmer, we're doing some programs to be farm friendly now in Blount County, where the general public may not understand that a farmer's stressed. There's a lot of stress on the farm financially, labor wise. You see developments coming up a lot, but Tennessee is significantly involved in agriculture, so. That's a great thing. We also have specialists that helps you with the market. They have market highlights of cattle, row crop, and things. Does the farm managed folks work with them pretty closely to?
Oh yeah. We're within the Department of Ag Economics. So the Center for Farm Management is located in the Department of Ag Economics and Natural Resources at UT. So we work hand in hand with the specialist. If there's ever a question I can't handle, especially on the row crop side, I'm calling Aaron Smith. I know exactly who I'm going to call. He's one of the best in the country.
Right. Yeah, so there's a wealth of information there that we can help you. David, do you have anything that you got going on that you'd like to share with the public? Be on the lookout, for the future?
Yeah, one that I'd always watch for is a program. It's Master Farm Manager. It's a statewide program that we've initiated. It actually started in Madisonville, Tennessee.
All right.
Down our neighbor Jonathan Ray. Me and him put it together, and it's grown. With help of a lot of other people, it's grown to a statewide program. It also helps you with 50% cost share on any of the other non-beginning farmer programs with TAEP. But we do 2 webinars a year if for some reason you can't get out to the county office or a local meeting. And then we also offer different locations, different agents sponsor them within the counties. It's probably not quite as prevalent as Master Beef from locations across the state, but we're typically holding 2 or 3 a year somewhere within East Tennessee if you prefer an in-person experience. We have one starting in Fentress County next week.
All right.
And it's going to be more focused on beef cattle. But just Google Tennessee Master Farm Manager, and it's a quick way. Just click the first link, and it typically takes you straight to the university website that houses all the information. The next webinar will be in January.
Great. Yeah, that's really good information. Check that out. I always like seeing what they've got going on, their wealth of knowledge. Not every extension agent in the county has a economics background. I certainly do not, so those folks like David can really help you out. We have a lot of folks that, moving in, or if you're established and you need help with your budgets or your finances, you can reach out to your county ag agent, and they'll get a hold of David or your farm management specialist. Making money is a good thing, ain't it, David?
Yeah.
Don't let anybody fool you.
Yeah, you got to make it to stick around.
Oh, yeah,
and it's harder and harder.
Yeah, it is. And, the thing I find out, I think a great way to describe it is a romantic view of agriculture. There's something rewarding about working with our hands, seeing the fruits of our labor, literally. But if you can't stay afloat and do that, it's often for naught. And we really have something for everybody. If you have something that is specialty, a couple weeks ago, I saw David, and we were at a hops field day.
Yeah.
And, we have a crop specialist that deals with specialty. I call them little oddball things, which that's no offense, but when I was growing up here in East Tennessee in this mountain land, we didn't have hops. No. Unless it was in our adult beverage, But it's pretty cool that we have that now.
And the great thing is they're putting it in to see, what are the best management practices and how successful can we be growing the crops. Because there's still a lot of questions on how successful we can be because of our daylight hours. It's a different environment, but we see with all this research and stuff the vast change in these varieties and the ability to be able to do different things. You look at corn and soybeans and the vast change in that industry, and you're going to see it in these other commodities, these other value-added enterprises. It's all about the different varieties and their capabilities.
Yeah. So we have something for you at your local extension office, Land Grant University. We have in Blount County, we have a home brewers association. Did not know that. Found that out the hops field day. So, we have these little niche markets that we're here to help you. But we'll wrap this up. David, I appreciate you coming out today. And if you need his help, or if you need help with anything farm management or farm economics related, contact your county agent. We'll get a hold of these specialists, and we'd be happy to help you out or anything and provide you real life solutions. I appreciate you coming by, David.
Thank you, Ronnie.
All right, just like Mr. Bilderback, David said about the TAEP, I want to touch base with that. The Tennessee Agriculture Enhancement Program is a great way to offset some costs and some endeavors that you and your family are doing on your farm. We have expanded that. That's through the Tennessee Department of Agriculture, but UT Extension does some of the educational requirements and things to help folks out in that aspect. But I'd mentioned that we do a lot of cost share of hay barns, and keeping hay for livestock and other things is very important, keeping that dry. And, you can save, up to 30% of your hay by storing it in one of these hay sheds. So great program. But we've also expanded. There's poultry interest, there's beekeeping interest. And if you have completed the Tennessee Agriculture Enhancement Program, this is hot off the press today, that the deadline is August the 1st to submit your paperwork. So there's some paperwork required with that for the state. So make sure that you get that in by August the 1st. They will work with you, but it's on case-by-case basis. Reach out to your county extension office or contact TDA directly, but make sure you get those reports in. If you're interested in the Tennessee Agriculture Enhancement Program, learning more about this cost share program, we will have manuals probably in August. They'll be coming out in August where you can look at the application process, see if you qualify for any of these cost share programs to offset some of that cost on the farm. And even if you're a hobby farmer and you're getting started, they may be something for you in that producer diversification program. So make sure you look that up. But let's switch gears to some forestry, wildlife, and fisheries issues. That's my background. So we have some fishing reports to do. I'm an avid fisherman. I really like to talk about some fishing forecasts in the area. I don't have a good fishing forecast for Fort Loudon. Would love to find one. So if a listener has a way or to help me out other than me just going to fishing, which that would be a great way to do it. But one of our closer lakes, Douglas Lake, we have a forecast for it that is given by forecast contributor Bob Burkhart. Believe it or not, the offshore bait is still strong. It seems as if the fish are 2 to 3 weeks behind, because usually by now they're hard to find and catch, but not at the moment. They have gotten a little deeper, so start looking into 25 to 28 foot of water, but the baits are pretty much still the same. We're having success with 3/4 ounce football jigs, a spoon, and also a Carolina rig. Brad says don't get too fancy. Stick to the tried and true colors such as green pumpkin, black, and blue. The early morning to water bite is spotty. Some days they show up, some days they don't. But the main channel bluff ends and short bluffs just inside main channel pockets are the best. Hope this steers you in the right direction. Norris Lake, we have some people in an area that frequent Norris. The water temp is 75 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. This is from Paul Shaw, the Norris Creek clerk. Clarity 4 to 6 feet, good color. The upper end rivers are running in clear. Water elevation is 1,015 feet. At midnight, the elevation has remained steady. Summer pool for the reservoir is 20 feet above sea level. The lower elevation is hindered in fishing shoreline vegetation, as is the norm for southern months. Check the free TVA Lake Info app for daily elevations. Largemouth, moderate to good. Early morning hours, dusk at night. Productive lures have been soft swim baits at depth of 20 feet on steeper main channel shorelines, medium running crankbaits, deep shot rigs, and the early morning bites have been flukes, topwater plugs. Smallmouth, good during daylight hours, 20 feet seems to be the magic depth. Again, crankbaits, swim baits, or jig types. Walleye, one of my favorite eating fish. Main body catch are slow, but best at night. Night fishing with mano lures or spoon jigged under lights or shad wraps or snag and shad. Life casts to shoreline are picking up some, but it's hit or miss. Crappie, good at night, early in the morning, hours before sun hits. Sycamore Creek, the back of Lost Creek, the upper reaches of Cove Creek, and upper Davis Creek. So Chickamauga, we got Billy Wheat. Big worm is killer right now. Shell beds or the grass, get the biggest one you can and get stick and take it to them. My friend today had an 8-pound hog. This is on the 12th of July. Grass and bait, current and shell beds, get the swim jigs and get that drop shot and pink worm out. Pick your poison, but pay close attention to the current. If it turns on you, you can really hurt them. Water temperature is 83 to 85 degrees. Water level is full. Have not got to fish Chickamauga out there in Chattanooga area, but would love to go. If you want to contribute to the message board, hit us at Appalachia Podcast. TWRA, the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency, does have a weekly fishing report. That's at tn.gov/TWRA/fishing forecast. In other news, in forestry and wildlife, I'm a certified wildlife biologist for the by the Wildlife Society. I always keep up with them. And this was news that just broke. A looming fungal disease poses a major threat to North American salamanders. I've read elsewhere that this could be a really big issue. Currently, it's in Europe. It's a fungal disease that's spreading through Europe, can devastate salamanders and other amphibians if it reaches wild populations in North America. This is a big deal for us because we have such biodiversity here in the Smoky Mountain regions in East Tennessee. I was told if you take all the biota and measured it, that salamanders would be the predominant winner. They are we have many species here in the Great Smoky Mountains. So this would be very bad, very devastating if it came over. Their study, published in Nature Communications, found that 140 salamander species in North America, including 80 in the United States, can experience population decline. They have a quote here from, he's actually my college advisor. He was my advisor in my undergrad, Dr. Matt Gray, great guy. He said there would be an iconic species that would be lost, and there would be very common species that would decline, and I'm sure be extirpated in populations. He's the lead author and professor of wildlife health at the University of Tennessee. This is called BSAL. If you can't say that word, this Bacterocotyledon, I'm not going to butcher it, but BSAL pathogen could be very bad news for us. So we'll have to keep up with that. If you look here, this little guy, if you don't know your salamander, that's the eastern newt. We see them terrestrial, and you can find them quite commonly in the Smoky Mountains. A little bit of homework, if you want to play, give us a comment in the sections on YouTube or Facebook and tell us what the state salamander is of Tennessee. See if you can look that up. Something else that's crazy in the news today is they actually found a rabid moose. A rabid moose was found in Alaska. It's the first documented case of rabies in a moose on the continent. I dare to say it's the first ungulate that has been found with rabies. It could be wrong, but biologists say they've documented the first ever case of rabies in moose in North America. It was seen wandering around the town of Taylor, Alaska. Witnesses said it appeared injured. It was acting oddly. The Alaskan Department of Fish and Game euthanized the moose and collected samples. Center of Disease and Control Prevention determined the moose had contracted rabies variant by an Arctic fox. Apparently this moose was bitten or contracted this rabies from a fox. Wildlife officials plan to increase rabies surveillance, but because moose trend to be solitary, they don't expect an outbreak in moose populations. So I was reading in other articles too that, typically moose don't bite people. I could be wrong, but I don't know how many people are bit by moose. I know they're extremely territorial. It seems like there's been many people attacked by moose. My father-in-law, being included, had a close encounter of a moose in Alaska. So this one was apparently acting strange and actually had rabies. So moose is our biggest deer here in North America. So they're the largest, and that is a big, big, big mammal with a very scary disease. So more to come out of that. We do have animals in Tennessee, obviously, that contract rabies. We have foxes. We have probably coyotes, but definitely skunks, raccoons carry the strains of rabies that can be dangerous to us as well. So we have to be very careful in what we see there. So we'll have to check that out. Keep it on the update. Very scary stuff. I want you all to be aware too, speaking of managing wildlife and keeping it up, you should be considering, if you're going to do wildlife food plots, hopefully you got your warm season food plots taken care of. You can look and see what was available, but really you needed to have those in the ground already. There's not much that our forage and field crop seeding guide will give you after June. If we're talking a little bit, we can still get it in the ground, but really, Lab, I see this hyacinth bean. You can plant it July 1. I probably wouldn't be putting in warm season food plots now. So you've missed that window. Hopefully you all got a good dove field planted. TWRA does have some public dove fields that they lease from farmers and landowners. I plan on participating September 1 in some of these recreational dove hunts. A lot of fun. But be planning your fall food plots, your cool season food plots. And, for those that don't plant food plots, or those that are listening in that don't hunt whitetail deer or wild turkey, that's predominantly the food plots that the targeted species that hunters, are planning for. We shouldn't be planting food plots just to shoot deer off of it. Really, food plots are made to supplement forage and mass during times of hardship, in my opinion. So these warm season food plots are planted for, supplement lactating does, nutrients in the nutrients for the mother. Keep them afloat when mass is hard to find in the dry months of September and harsh summer when those mother does need it the most. And our fall food plots do the same when mass gets hard to find in the winter. February, supplementing some of that feed. We can have successful hunting leases with them and stuff, but let's keep a biological mind about it. So we have food plot guidelines, seeding recommendations right now. Since we're a little early, you missed the warm season, but go ahead and start soil sampling, soil test your food plots that you're going to plant. Find those macronutrients, lime recommendations. I understand that a lot of these food plots that we plant are in remote areas, hard to get to, but you want to be successful in managing it. So right now would be a good time to get ahead of the game. Go ahead and start soil testing that, find out your macronutrients, and the more planting, the more prep, the better. Get rid of those full season grasses that we don't want. Get rid of some of these weeds and other things going to take up your food plot. So be thinking of that. Again, contact your county extension agent. We have food plot guidelines written by Dr. Craig Harper, our wildlife extension specialist, and we have a forage and field crop seeding guideline that can help. So we don't have much time left. We have deer season fastly approaching, archery season, and our velvet hunt season. I'm assuming there's a velvet hunt season going to happen. So it's coming soon. Hopefully you all are out practicing your shooting sports. Get your archery equipment tuned in, visit a 3D tournament, get your bow tuned, be an ethical hunter. And always use safety first. Make sure that we got going on. Again, make sure that that you're doing what you need to do to be ready for August, September, and all the way into January. We have a pretty good season here in Tennessee. So you hear that? That means we are going downtown. That means we're looking at what's happening in the East Tennessee Mountain Land and looking at these events. So let's see what's going on around town here. All right, we have the 2023 Small Farm Expo. If you're a hobby farmer or got a small operation wanting to learn more about what's going on, we have an event for you. It's the 19th annual event. The agenda's coming soon, but it is in Nashville. You're going to have to travel a little bit. It is at the Tennessee State University. Our Small Farms Expo is a great event. Learn about different features. There'll be exhibitions. There'll be speakers, field tour programs, highlight everything. Small farm. We got ruminant livestock management, poultry production. You can register now at tnstate.edu small farm. So you can look that up. There'll be more information coming out soon. So you can navigate that. It's an expo for Tennessee small farmer. Very productive. You can travel there. It'll be a great event. In other news, we got the University of Tennessee, my alma mater, among the best universities in the U.S. for affordability and quality. UT Knoxville is ranked among the best colleges in America by Money Magazine. The university receives a 4-star rating out of 5. in Money's 2023 Best College Rankings. It is the only public university in Tennessee to make the list. So I tell you that because at least 500 undergraduate students has sufficient reliable data to be analyzed and no signs of financial stress. So if you want to learn more about UTK, University of Tennessee, Knoxville, there is an event that's called Home Sweet Career. Knoxville's just not a college town. Home Sweet Career, UT Department of Marketing. So local business leaders are invited to learn more about UTK's marketing development, followed by a meet and greet with marketing students. So there'll be a tour of the Haslam College of Business. They'll have a welcome department meeting overview and ways to get involved in networking and marketing with students. So if you want to learn more about the Department of Marketing, that's going on in Knoxville. Good. All right, so check them out. And we also have some Twilight series going on. We have the UT Organic Crops Unit. They are doing a Tuesday Twilight Tours. Join us on the third Thursday of the month at 6:30 p.m. They are doing slicers and sunflowers from a consumer's perspective. So you have to check that out. That looks pretty interesting. We have Dr. Bumgarner and Miss Alicia Ryan will be highlight what's ripe in the home garden variety trial. So this is a cost for that one. It's $10 per person per seed, or per session, I'm sorry. I got seeds on the brain. But $10 per person per session. Pre-registration is required. Please register here. You can go to tiny.utk.edu/twilight. Not the movie, but the course. Contact is 865-974-8332. And they're doing a series of classes. They got one in September, one in October, one in November, all great topics. So it'll be at the East Tennessee Ag Research and Education Center. So for more information, you can contact your county extension office as well. But it'll be August the 15th, slicers and sunflowers. So the next topic that we're going to cover, I'd like to end with this. This is a cautionary tale I want you to be aware of. These are things that are scary and looking bleak. So we are going to have to talk about invasives and problems. So these scary creatures that you're about to see don't belong. They need to be gone. So what can we do to get rid of these troublesome critters, disease, and things that can harm our ecosystem and ourselves? Let's take a look. Our featured pests today, one is something straight out of a horror movie. It is the hammerhead worms. If hammerhead worms are an invasive species, no need to be alarmed by them, but they do eat beneficial earthworms. If you encounter this hammerhead worm, you can distinguish it from a different earthworm because of its hammerhead shark-like head. If you can please contact your UT Extension office if you see these. They have been reported in the Knoxville area. If you see this, please contact your county ag agent. Make sure you use glove or tweezers to pick up the worm. Place in a zip top bag with rubbing alcohol and place in the freezer. Then dispose in the trash. Do not cut them in half as they will regenerate. That's some crazy stuff there. Please do not cut. You don't want to deal with two of these things. So I knew of a monster that fought Godzilla like that. You cut off the head, it would sprout a new one. And I think Hercules fought one called the Hydra or something like that. But this is a modern day villain. Hammerhead worms, be on the lookout for them. If you see it, contact your county extension office. This is an article back in 2020. TVA warns of hammerhead flatworms in Knoxville area. What to look out for. Near the Tennessee Valley Authority, TVA is warning of East Tennessee potential hammerhead worms. The reason why we want you to use gloves is they can kind of have this irritant on their skin. So we don't want you to have the skin irritation or breakout, but make sure you do not touch them with your bare hand. This one has a very dramatic hammerhead on it, but be on the lookout for these critters. We also have a plant that I want to talk about. It's a good practice to consider removing. These are poison hemlocks. No, don't think of Romeo and Juliet when you hear this, but poison hemlock is found throughout the state and is a poisonous to both humans and animals. Also known as deadly hemlock, spotted hemlock, or poison parsley. Poison hemlock can reside in cool season grass pastures, roadsides, draining ditches, stream banks. Small white flowers make up the smaller bunch or compound umbels. One of the poison hemlock's most definitive characteristics are the purple spots on the stems. All parts of the plants are toxic. So if you see these, leave them alone. If you have livestock, get rid of them. If you need help on how to get rid of them, what you can do, call your county extension agent and be happy to give you some recommendations. But as we go through these pictures, you can tell these are poison hemlock. You have these shoots. Poison hemlocks include multiple smaller bunches of flowers and groupings. Purple spots on the stem. So see multiple flowers and spots, bunches of flowers. And then here's a telltale sign. You can see the purple markings on the stem here. So make sure, I see how they look. See, call that parsley, but purple spots on the stem. Not to be confused with Queen Anne's lace. Okay, Queen Anne's lace is very similar to poison hemlock in appearance. Its presence is not nearly as alarming. The plant is typically much smaller in height and lacks purple spots on the stem. So no purple, and their flower is just one big cluster, not spread out like those previous pictures. I've had people comment and say, those are chigger plants. Well, chiggers is an insect, and it's a different topic for a different day, but be on the lookout for these purple plants, okay? I don't want any animals to eat and get sick, or be on the cautious side of that. All right, well, that is today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. My name is Ronnie Cowan, Extension Agent for the University of Tennessee, stationed here in Blount County. We will try to do 2 of these each month. Have special guests. It'll always be focusing on culture, putting the culture in agriculture, hobby farming, gardening, forestry, wildlife, and fisheries, and everything extension. So you all have a great Southern Appalachian evening, and you come back.